Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host and special guest, Franco Burrows. Franco, so good to have you here, man. The last podcast we did, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. Great to be here, Doug.
So we only have a few minutes here, guys, which you don't know. And you also don't know I'm going to throw Franco a curveball. He has no idea what we're going to talk about, which is my favorite way of doing these podcasts.
I'm in the hot seat.
You are in the hot seat. So, Franco, one of the things I was thinking about is, the guys in the Brotherhood know this, but as men who are in the Facebook group and they've gone through, we've done a lot of free trainings that are out there. In fact, I got a request from a guy who's looking for those free trainings, is they start to make changes in their lives, right? And they go from a sexless marriage to all of a sudden they get their wife in the bedroom. Their wife's interested in having sex, but it seems to dry up over time. Maybe it's once or twice a week, or once, for some guys, once a week, once a month is amazing, right? Some guys have confided in us and they've been in sexless marriages for over 2 years or more. So it starts to happen. And I asked one of these guys a question, and I thought, his response really stimulated something in me because I hadn't thought about it before. I like this. So we've had so much focus and success in getting guys to get out of sexless marriages. And when I talked to this gentleman, I said, when you're having sex, when you're making love with your wife, are you having, and this is a personal question, this guy took it that way, but he answered it for me. Like, is she having an orgasm? Right? Is she having, have you ever practiced cervical orgasms? Geez. And he was like a deer in headlights, not the deer acronym we normally have, but he was just gobstruck. He's like, no, not at all. He's like, to be honest with you, it's short. She seems happy. But the sex doesn't last very long. And so it got me thinking, Franco, and I'd love to hear your thoughts here. This is kind of like, we're getting men to this position where the wives love them again. They're having sex in the bedroom, but perhaps they're not taking it to that next step, that next level. Is that something you've experienced with the guys? Are they having, as my wife would say, is she a well-fucked woman?
Yeah. Yeah. And that, what I experience is that a well-fucked woman is different. Every woman is different.
For sure.
Okay. So, for example, you mentioned orgasms. So I can guarantee you right now, for a lot of women, orgasms are important. For some women, orgasms, the orgasm is more about an internal thing of pleasing their man. Mm-hmm. Okay. So some women are going to be pleasers. So what I want to say on this is that if you dive into the books about, where the G spot is and where this is, and you rub this for that long, or you get very diagrammatic about it, then it's definitely good to make sure she's a well-fucked woman, 100%. Okay. But it's what leads up to that. How do you actually create it? And the guys that are sort of looking for tools online, what I observe is that they are doing it in a linear fashion. So it's like, if I do this, I'll get this, and then I'll try this, and then so they think about it. It's like climbing a ladder. It just doesn't work like that, So it's really, this is why the connection is so important, because when you know how to read your woman, and she responds, she knows how to respond to your leadership. So because a lot of women will just want to please their man. That's what I found.
Yeah. So I'm going to respectfully disagree, right? Which I know is sacrilege with Mr. Burrows. And there's a reason for it. One is, I've mentioned, is I get to talk to my wife and hear her stories from women that she works with. Two is, in my former life, I owned a gym, right? A fitness center. And we specialized in one-on-one, or, maybe one fitness professional with 3 people. And it was 2 stories, and I had an open air office upstairs. So I got to hear, either through the vents or just in general, if I didn't have headphones on, I heard the conversations. And for a woman and a female trainer, if she's got a female trainer, sometimes women would tell their they're male trainers, these things too, is they weren't sexually satisfied. Yeah, they would, do this. But I remember one woman distinctly, and I know exactly who it is. I know exactly what this situation was. And she was like, look, I just want to be fucked. I just want, and she wasn't looking outside the marriage as far as I know, but she was just confiding in this female trainer of like, look, this is what I want. And the trainer said, yeah, like all the women here want that, are looking for that. And it seems like men get into this routine, a lot of us guys, where we want to have sex and we do it in such a manner, which it doesn't mean a woman always has to have an orgasm or what have you. I know this is a much deeper conversation than we're going to have time for, but I want to throw it on the table. Is, maybe your woman never has had a real deep orgasm, right? Or a real earth shattering one. And maybe she's fine with that. But I would throw out there as a conversation piece for some of the guys who are finding themselves getting back into the bedroom, right? The question I would ask is it enjoyable for her? Is she really having a great time in such a manner that she's going to desire, deeply desire getting back in there? Or is she doing it just to make you happy, like cooking dinner?
Yeah. And and that's my point. I don't think we're that far apart. What my point is that in the same way as a man knows there's something missing, if he feels his wife is just doing it to keep him happy, okay, it works the other way around. If she just feels you're just trying to push buttons to get a certain response,
you're right? Yep.
Then she's going to feel that disconnect. When a woman says, I just want to be fucked properly, she wants her man to be getting his rocks off and having a great time.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's more important. What I'm getting at is that it's more important for her to be with a man who's just living his best life. It's like, oh, let's do this. Let's do that. Oh, I'm going to flip you over and do this. But it's more because that's what he wants to do. And I'm definitely in the camp of like, if you can give her orgasms, then fucking go for it. Why not? If you're having a party, you want everyone to have fun.
Yeah, that's exactly what it should be, right? I think so many men in Western society have gotten away from that. Maybe they have in other societies too. I can only speak from, the men that we work with are almost 100% US, UK, or Europe and Canada based. And so when I think about this is you don't hear this talked about as much, right? At least I don't, Franco. Maybe you do. But is it mutually exciting, right? She wants you to, most women want to be taken, so to speak. We've talked about that before in podcasts, and that we get some controversy on that. But most women want to be taken, but respectfully, of course. And they want their man to have fun. Heck yeah. But they also want to be taken care of, right? Like when's my turn to come through here? And so for some of you guys, it's going to start off formulaic, right? It's like the first time you get in the kitchen to cook, right? You're getting the recipe book out. You're trying, okay, how do I crack eggs? Okay, shit, there's a shell in here. I got to pull that out, but the key, and Franco's point, which I believe you're saying, which I 100% agree with, is you got to make it fun. You got to do it your way. There's a difference between being the chef in the kitchen who's reading the book and stressed out about cooking times and everything. That's no fun for anybody. But if you're in there having a good time and maybe the casserole doesn't turn out great the first time, and you're like, screw it, let's just have fun. That's a better way of being. But when you can also get to a point where you're making that experience for both of you, right? You're the man, you're leading, you're making that experience for both of you so fun and exceptional that she is dying to get back in there. I've experienced this myself, Franco. That's why on both ends of the spectrum. That's why I want to bring it up to the guys, because it didn't dawn on me previous to this conversation that other men hadn't figured this out or thought about it, and which to me seems so stupid for me not to think of that. But if you want to get, it's like anything else. Like if you guys want to get laid more and you want to have sex more with your wives, the woman you love, you need to make it a fun experience for her, right? Not a chore. Yeah. And I think so many guys have made it a chore that's one of the reasons they're ending up with, women that love them, but dead bedrooms, right? To her, it's just another thing to check off the friggin' list. Right? Okay, let's go. We're going to have sex. We'll be done in and out in 5 to 10 minutes, and then I got to clean up and then get back to the kids or whatever.
Yeah. It's, for me as well, it's for a lot of men. I definitely think having fun is a big one. It doesn't actually have to be fun. It could just be you generate sexual tension.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that can be built up throughout the day. And it's not even something you're doing intentionally. That will come about just by, and I know you've talked about this as well, but that can come about just by putting her in her place.
Yep.
Women will do something wrong to see if you put them in their place. And when you do, they'll get turned on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's got nothing to do with sex, but she will get turned on. But when you get to that level where you understand what a shit test is, you understand how to set a boundary, okay, and you do it effectively, you also are connecting with her at the same time because you're reading her non-verbal responses, and you're seeing the slight shifts in her body language, in her eye contact, in the way she breathes, and you're like, it's on, and then you can, as you said, take her. So there's different ways of doing it. It could be you go away for the weekend, you're taking care, you're living like a king, you're pulling her into your world. It could be a whole weekend thing, or it could be a quickie. It could just be like, right, eye contact, bang, bend her over the kitchen table. So there's no set formula, but this is why the Triad of Connection is so important. A woman is not going to have sex with you if she resents you.
100%.
Maybe if she's upset, if you got this toxic relationship going on, and she's got deep issues or whatever, maybe. But for most healthy women, they're not gonna want to touch you if they resent you. Okay, so you get that fixed first.
Yes, you must get that fixed first, and I agree. And we have a course on sexual mastery, which I think surprises people because it goes over those aspects of sexual mastery, not the how to give a clitoral or cervical orgasm or things of that nature.
Yeah.
But I think you do have to make it fun. Sometimes a quickie is fun, right? But I think what a lot of guys have relied on, to go back to our previous podcast, is steak on Thursday. It's the same position. It's the same thing. It's boring. It's not enjoyable. They're not mixing it up. And I can tell you, man, in my experience, when a woman is well taken care of, I'm not just talking about my wife, I'm talking about other guys that I know who have gone through this journey. It's a whole different experience, right? The woman is freed, right? And there's a lot of things that are talked about with emotions that are stored in women, especially, I brought up cervical orgasms in particular, and we don't need to get clinical into this, but there's a lot of theories about how traumas are stored in there when a woman is able to have one of those orgasms, and very few women do. Right? They just never either met somebody or what have you. And believe it or not, Franco, I actually know of people who have businesses that women go to. I don't know these guys personally. I've talked to one guy before, and what they do is they give women healing orgasms, which is a cervical orgasm, right? To have the woman heal, and women swear by it. They just release so much. And so what I'm throwing
a woman who's having regular orgasms, she's going to be, her mental health is going to be so much better. She's going to be a nicer person to be around. Yeah.
Just like a guy.
And it's like at the start of the relationship, isn't it? If she's getting well fucked, as you said, then all her friends are going to know about it, and they're going to be glowing. You walk into the room and they're like, hey, but there's no reason why you can't keep that going. There's no reason why.
That's my point, my friend. That's my point is, I think what's happening with this gentleman, and the reason I want to bring it up, because I think it happens to, when I thought about it, I thought, oh crap, this probably happens to a lot more guys than I even thought about, is they're getting back into the bedroom. They're starting to spice things up a little bit, but it's not exciting or fun. It is just quickies. That's all it is, right? Or they try to overset the tone of the romance when it's not there, right? They're not mixing it up, and they're not learning new skills, right? You're expected just to know how to have sex. You're not supposed to talk about it, but you're expected to know how to do it right. What pleases you, what pleases her. And I'm not saying you particular, Franco, here, but these are things you get to explore with your partner. I was talking to a man who's involved in coaching in the men's movement, and that was one of the things he told me. He called me for advice. He said, Doug, my wife and I, we can't talk about sex. Like it's a taboo topic in our marriage. And I said, well, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. And that's why I can almost guarantee you're not regularly having earth shattering sex. Like that's a blue moon thing for you guys. He's like, yeah, it is. Like we're having sex. We love each other, but we're kind of, and this is a guy that's got a lot of the tools in the toolbox. And this is one I think is missing. And I don't hear it talked about as much. Because when you make it, guys, a good experience, again, not all the time, right? Like I am not Don Juan by any stretch of the imagination, or a king in the bedroom or what have you. I'm not, I'm a normal guy. But when you can make it fun a proportion of the time, and you can make your woman climax a good proportion of your time, to Franco's point, if you're having a party, everybody should be having a good time, right? If you can make it that way, you're going to find your partner, your wife, pulling you into the bedroom, right? Demanding you, getting text messages, right? When are you done with work? I'm ready for you. Like I got the kids taken care of. Like she's going to start taking the lead in some ways, in a good way, but letting you know, like, hey, last night was fun. I'm ready again. Let's do it. What you let me know the day, the time, I'll be there. And when you can do that, that changes the dynamic. And a lot of that has to go back to what you said, Franco. It starts with the Triad of Connection. She can't resent you. You have to have the clean slate method in place. You have to have, and eventually you have to get your sexual hangups out of the closet and dust those off, and hers, and allow her the safe space to have those conversations. Because a lot of people don't. They make it taboo, and they assume, in my experience, they assume that they know what their wives want without talking about it. Right? They assume they know what they want, and then they turn to porn to fulfill another fantasy that their wife could be fulfilling for them. If they just,
and women the same. Women get addicted to their vibrators.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
That's the only difference is they're on their own, and they can just keep going all day. They get the same. We get that hormone. We just get tired, don't we?
Yep.
After one climax, women can just keep going and going and going and going.
Yeah, and they do.
Lucky them.
Yeah, lucky them. So I just want to throw this as a starter conversation out there, Franco, and I'd love for us to follow up later on this. And gentlemen, what I'm going to ask you guys to do, now this is going to be a bold ask, gentlemen, is go over to the Facebook group and let me know what you think of this podcast. What do you think of this topic, right? Are you making it an amazing experience for your wife most of the time? Right? Not all the time, or even 50% of the time, that she's having a great experience. Now, it doesn't mean she's orgasming necessarily, but is she having a great experience? Can you say that with confidence? Right? Because we know, right? We know when we deliver the goods. We just know it. And so, gentlemen, I'm going to ask you guys to do it, because if I get enough responses here, I want to do a training around this, Franco, a deeper dive, and bring some of the guys into it. Because I want you guys to have this experience, that I have and that Franco has, and be able to do it. Because one, it boosts your confidence, makes you feel great. And also you're going to have your woman, really, really feeling good. And that's what you want, right? You love her, you want her to feel good. You want her to be good. And it also changes the whole atmosphere in your house. I can guarantee that too.
It's incredible. I mean, if we wired up a man and a woman who are having great sex on a regular basis in a loving relationship, their hormones, all their blood markers, everything is going to be fantastic, and that's potentially more important than nutrition, all exercise, other things, going to the gym. Obviously, sex is exercise, but it's like, it's possibly the most important thing you can do for your health, for yourself and for her,
Yep. Well, on that note, Franco, I'm going to go track down my wife, and I'm going to let you go. Gentlemen, please go over to the Facebook group. Love to hear your comments on here. I know this is a taboo subject. Us guys are all supposed to be amazing wizards in bed. Let's face it, none of us are, right? We're all working on it. We're all working on being the best that we possibly can. But it's not until we open up the conversation and have conversations like this that we can actually make improvements. This is definitely happening for some of the guys in our private community off of Facebook, the guys that are in the alumni or in the brotherhood. But I want to bring this to everybody out. We have, tens of thousands of you guys listening. So let's make this community grow. The Powerful Man is a movement, and its movement involves you. So Franco, again, thank you so much for your time, my friend. And I look forward to doing this again. Gentlemen, we'll see you next time on the Powerful Man Show.